Hey, this is Donnie Smith, and we were working on the Mustang project here, and this video is more of a progress update, more than a step-by-step, because in this video we're going to concentrate on getting the quarter glass back in while the quarter panel's off. Now you can see the quarter panel is on in this video, but the last video, if you remember, we had taken the quarter panel and the wheel house and put it on, installed it to test fit it to make sure everything fits right, before we start putting it on and start welding it. Because if you start to weld it on and realize something's wrong, you're going to be in trouble, and it's going to take a lot of time and possibly even new parts if you have to go back and try to cut those welds out. So we test fitted everything just by putting some self-tapping screws. And what Jacob and Jordan are doing here is they are taking the screws out, and that way we can go ahead and take the quarter panel off. You can see here we're taking it off, and you always want to put your parts, store them properly. And I have a little garage here I can put that stuff in, which helps keep the parts stored. There's my wife come see what we're up to. But yeah, always keep your parts stored properly, and that'll save you a lot of headache later. And now they're continuing taking the self-tapping screws back out. We took the wheel house off. Now we're taking this extension panel off, and we're back to having all the parts off. But the good thing is, we can use those same holes to align it, and we know everything's going to fit properly when we go to put it back on, and that's good to know. If there's any problems, you want to know it now before you break out the welder or any type of adhesives. Now, anywhere these flanges are, we're going to have to grind we did do some painting, but anywhere you weld or put adhesive, you're going to have to grind that to metal, for the adhesive to adhere properly or to weld. Now, anywhere we're going to weld, we grind that off, but we do put another coating called weld-through primer, which will allow the metal to, for corrosion protection, it'll coat it, but it won't burn off like any other, paint or primer would. So what we're doing here, before we put the quarter panel back on, we are going to install the quarter glass and tracking and all that. It's a lot easier with the quarter panel off because you have access to this back side, which it makes it a lot easier. However, I had some questions on YouTube about doing this. I'm going to have a more thorough step-by-step process of how to get the quarter glass out and back in without the quarter panel removed. There was some questions about that, so on the other side, we're going to do that. Before we take the quarter panel off, we're going to make a tutorial for that. It doesn't seem that hard with the quarter panel off, but you can see we have all that room just to slide it in and out. Now we went to bolting it back in. On the other side, there's some access holes that allows you to put an extension and half-inch socket. One of them, the window down, you can have access. The other one, you have to push the window up. Now right here I'm showing you a little trick. If you to keep your bolt from falling off, in a spot like where you're going through the access holes, just put a piece of tape over it and push it through there, and you can see where I turn it upside down or any direction without that falling out. I don't know if you've ever dropped one down in a area that you can't get to and lost a socket or spent a lot of time trying to get it. Now I did get this on, but just like a lot of times I have to stop and figure things out. I mean, this has been apart for a long time, and I forgot when we was rolling the window up and down. I realized that there's some window stops that prevent the window from rolling too far up or too far down that I had taken off, and I forgot to put those back on. And that's a lot of restoration, is you have to be able just to stop, look at it, see what's wrong, and just kind of plan that way. Especially like this has been out for a long time, and I forgot about taking those out. So I'm going to have to take it back out, and then I'll put it back in, after I get those window stops in. Um, on newer cars, there's a lot of repair procedures. Even the olders, you can get some manuals, for that, which may eliminate a lot of the guesswork. But a lot of times it just takes some, some thinking. You got to think it through, see what's wrong, step back, and solve the problem. So that's kind of what we're doing here. This whole process has been like that. So I've worked on a lot of newer cars, not done a lot of restoration. This Mustang project that Jacob and Jordan and myself are doing, I've worked on some 66 Mustangs, but never, tore one completely down or anything like that. So this is a new learning experience for me as well. It's been a lot of fun doing this with the boys, though. So we did put this in fast motion. I'm sure you can tell, just so we did it in normal uh, speed, it'd be a little, probably become a little bit boring. So we sped it up so you could go through it a lot quicker, but kind of see everything that we did. So here I've got it back out, and I'm getting the window spacers. Now I have to stop and figure out exactly how they go together. Usually you'll just look at something and try to figure out how it goes together. Usually it's usually pretty easy if you just stop and take your time and think about it a little bit. So that's what we had to do. We had to get those stops back in. And what those are, they're just will prevent the window. They're just little stops that hit and prevent the window where it can roll up too much, because if it can, it would roll completely out of the track or down too far. So it's just a stop that stops the window. It's kind of like a door stop, if you don't think of it like that. And that's another thing on this door. You can see it coming open. It's not staying open. See right there, I'm trying to keep it open. But there's a spring that helps keep that door open. It didn't have it when I got the car. I'm going to have to get another spring. It goes on the hinges, and that helps keep the door open. So anyway, that's why that door is doing that. You can see Jake up there taking his cap off quite a bit. I mean, it was a hot day. We didn't do a whole lot. It's over 100 degrees today. I mean, it was really burning. It's been hot. So, and that's another disadvantage of not having a nice shop, especially an air-conditioned shop. Not that many people, have their own air-conditioned shop, but it sure would be nice on days like this. Okay, I got them back in. And another thing I didn't mention is the track and all that. I cleaned it off real good. I re-greased it. I got it to working real good before I put it back in. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, and I'll show you more of the steps I take, for that glass. But I want to make sure it's working good, working properly before we spend all the time putting it back in. Then putting the quarter panel on, because then we may not be able to get to it as well. So we got it back in. You can see that rolls up and down good now. So that's about it for this tutorial. Like I said, this is more of a progress update, just kind of let you see what we're doing. Some of the things we don't really want to skip a lot of the steps. But anyway, thank you for watching, and be sure and share this with your friends.